Welcome to the Friday Power Lunch, a weekly show amplifying the voices of the Virginia grassroots. Each week, we provide engaging conversations about politics, culture, and women making change. Produced by the unstoppable women of Network Nova, our motto is, when we vote, we win. The Friday Power Lunch is recorded before a live Zoom audience. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and show us some love and become a sponsor through Patreon. The Friday Power Lunch. Badass women getting things done.
Yes, you are on the Friday Power Lunch, and welcome. I'm Katherine White, your host, bringing you the guests, the issues, the action. And what we do is we fuel the grassroots from coast to coast, and we get things done. And yes, we make politics fun, and we are fired up and ready to vote early in September. I want to welcome Simon Rosenberg to the room. Give a big wave up there, Simon. A lot of you in the room know Simon. We met him a few years ago when we were trying to figure out what's going on with all the voting, what's going on with activity around the Democratic Party. And so Simon is so wonderful. He's the founder and writer of the Substack Hopium Chronicles, but also he's had a 30 years plus history working as a Democratic political strategist and blogger. And now, you probably see him on MSNBC and all those great news channels. Thank you, Simon, for being here. And also we have Skye Perryman from Democracy Forward. She is the president and CEO of Democracy Forward. And what I love about this organization is really when we talk about educating people, citizens about their democracy, this group really gets it done. We're so grateful to have Skye Perryman with us today. Thank you, Skye, for being here. And lastly, let's bring the fun and the energy and make sure when we show the contrast of who we are, we talk about what this election's about. MAGGIE O'NEILL is a great accomplished artist who started this nonprofit called Vote for Your Daughter. We have her team here today, and we're going to be talking about their awesome art and activism toolkit. So we have it all for you. We're glad you're in the room. So I just want to get this party started. I know we have our dancing shoes on. I want to make sure that Fennell jumps in the room with me. We do some power chatting. What do you say, Fennell?
I say that it's a great day in September.
Great day.
No, you can't help but feel a little giddy. So I am a little giddy this morning.
But I just tell you that I don't know why, but I started to get all teary-eyed, and I'm like, don't cry. I don't know. Seeing when we're out there in Loudoun and just seeing the activity and the organizing that we were doing, we talk about the energy around this and seeing all these wonderful friends that I know, and we're back like, this is 17 energy. This is the energy that we're seeing, and it's real. And people can't see it out there, but man, I'm seeing it. And I just think, we're pushing in everything we do at all those events. We're talking about early voting.
And not only are you talking about early voting, but you're also talking about joy. And no matter what anybody does, we're going to make sure that we keep the joy. And that was one of the things I wanted to talk about this morning really quickly. I just wanted to talk about the contrast about how we're feeling today and what we're doing. And I want to talk about how our vice president talks about things, the way that she talks about issues, the way the other side talks about issues. I mean, nobody can not say that they have feelings about what's happening in Ohio. And when you hear the other side talk about it, it's really ugly. They make every part of it ugly, but when you hear her talk about it, it's with this emotion. And she was, the way she described it, she just brought it down to the level of the children. How we think about Nancy Pelosi and for the children, right? Children. And so she said that, but she said they get dressed in their little clothes for school, and you can just sort of visualize what's happening for them. And you can't help but have compassion and empathy, which goes along with finding those moments of joy. And so I just love that. And I love the way that we've opened this morning and how we'll carry on this day.
Yeah. Last night, if people in the room, let us know, did you watch the Oprah and Harris interview? Some of us got to go in the Zoom room and kind of be in the audience in the back. And what I was just struck by, like you said, the contrast, what we're, contrasting the other side and our side, and that she brings this compassion and realness to it, right? And we were all you didn't have a dry eye because you heard about people that a young woman with the gun violence watched her, other peers get killed. These are real things. A woman that spoke about being raped by her father. I mean, it's not trying to be, oh, Debbie Downer, but these are real people, real issues. And the way she talked about them is so different than the other side. That contrast is so important. And so is the joy around, or when we say, why we need to stay in that moment, when the positivity also, it's very important. But geez, oh man, you couldn't see a starker difference.
No.
And their hand, right?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And I think it's important in terms of, like, I have to check myself every now and then. I sort of, someone says something and I just want to run through it and I go, ooh, and then I have to go back and I was like, okay, I could have said that different, or I need to think about that different. Let me bring the joy back to how we really want to see ourselves, how we want to brand ourselves in this moment. None of us are perfect, but we keep on working at it, right?
Well, I noticed today, Laura Mack told me that they stole all the signs at the polling place, that Republicans took all the Harris signs and they stole them all this morning. They think they're going to steal our joy. Remember the Grinch stole Christmas, folks? And when they they try to steal that joy. And what did the people do? They got around the tree and they sang, and it was like, why? And you saw the Grinch just shrink and his heart grew larger. Don't let them kind of psych you out, because they're desperate, and desperate people do desperate things. So, that just wanted to make sure that we bring that up. And I can't get away with today without talking about that candidate, Mark Robinson in North Carolina, when we show the contrast of the two parties, and the Democratic Party, and Simon will talk about it today. For the last, since the 80s, we've been the party for the people, for the unions, for doing good. And the Republican Party eventually has now turned over their self to just the crazy and the negative and the dictatorship. And we don't have a functioning party. The contrast, again, couldn't be starker.
Yep.
So let's end up with some joy in the ballot box, and then we'll get to Simon.
Okay.
Oh, well, do you want to do some joy in the ballot box?
Okay, well, I thought you were going to do joy in the ballot box. But my joy in the ballot box is just to say, this morning I got a picture from Deborah Wharton. She's here every week, and she's working really, really hard. And it's this wonderful woman with pearls, and she's just dressed to the nines, and she's on her way to the polls. And they've already had more than 100 people who have already been there in our little rural community to early vote today. So there is a lot of joy happening at the polls, and we make the joy. We bring the joy.
Well, let's get to that, because the Voter Blue Guide just made the joy at the ballot box. They have a toolkit around it. So let's bring Simon Rosenberg in, if we may, and get started. Folks, you're on the Friday Power Lunch, and right before our very eyes is the one and only Simon Rosenberg. Been busy. I know you're just so busy. Founder of Substack, the Hopium Chronicles. And, we met you when you were the big shot over at that think tank, the New Democracy Network, and all the years in the Clinton War Room and all that. And here you were with a bunch of women now, and we're not, we smell better, and we're a lot more fun.
Listen, this is one of my favorite places to come hang out in the whole country. Good. And so it's really great to be here, and on an amazing day, right? Like, this is the videos we're seeing, the energy you just brought. I mean, it's the way I love the dancing Kamala stuff you have, and that it brought a tear to my eye. And we need to approach our politics through joy. It's a far more powerful way than to be approaching it through fear and worry, which is how we've been so much over the last few years. And so I think it's how we crush them. And so I'm here today to, first of all, say thank you all for what you've already done and what you're about to do. For all the work that we've all done in our political careers. The work we're about to go do is the most important work that we've all ever done, because this election, we all know the stakes here. And so first of all, thank you. Second thing is, I want to because I invited my national Hopium audience here. I know there are people here from all over the country. Good. And I want to not only talk today, but we're going to cut this video up and put it out on Hopium this weekend, so people can experience the energy and the joy that you're bringing, so they can replicate this in their states, right? You're going first. You're the leaders. You're the trailblazers. For all of us, you're going to teach everyone else how this is done. So what I want to talk about is the importance of voting on day one and winning it in October, as I call it. And then, Katherine, I'd love you to talk a little bit about all the work you're doing today and this weekend to kick this thing off. Is that good?
That's good. And if you have any updates, I know if there's any, we can definitely talk about early voting. I think we should. If you want to give us a minute of where we're at in this.
Yeah, 2 minutes. I'll do this. I mean, we all know where we are, right? Is that we're winning the election and they're losing it, and that we're winning the election, but we haven't won it yet. And now we have to go win it. I mean, the polling, the last 10 days, look, as remarkable and incredible and serendipitous and inspiring as Kamala Harris's rise has been, and the without fault, without error, every day she's bringing it, in her joy and her happiness and her just Kamala-ness, right? Is that the last 10 days has been arguably the best part of all of this. The campaign desperately wanted the debate. They wanted the contrast between her strong, steady leadership, prepared prosecutor, ready to take her case to the American people, and his ugliness and extremism. And man, did we get it. And it changed the election. I mean, this is what they wanted, and it worked, right? We've seen now the national polls have shifted 1 or 2 points in her favor. The average of the polls since the debate, she's been up 4 points. When the polling in the states have come, we're almost universally at Biden 2020 numbers or ahead. And remember, we won that election, right? So where we are today is we're around where Joe Biden was on election day, give or take a little bit, which is an election we won, but it was also really close. Mm-hmm. And the lesson is for us is that we don't want it to be this close. We want to win, and we want to go kick their ass. And so we have the power collectively. It's much more likely that given our financial advantages, our enthusiasm advantages, the joy that we're here, our volunteers, the grassroots army all around the country, and many other things, it's far more likely that as the voting season begins today, that we're going to be able to push this election towards us than they're going to be able to push the election towards them. Think about just the unbelievable freak show, Star Wars bar, whatever you want to call it, presentation they've given us the last few weeks. Donald Trump is spiraling downward. J.D. Vance is a loathsome and odious figure who terrorize, we all get the willies every time we see him speak, right? And they've continued. And then we had this whole thing with Mark Robinson in the last couple of days. The Republicans did an interview. They've been pushing this line this week in the national media that they're going to win by winning Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina. Well, folks, in the last 2 weeks, every poll in Pennsylvania and North Carolina by an independent media organization has had Kamala Harris either even or ahead, and almost all of them had her ahead. So on their own announced map, they're in deep shit, right? And so we just have to keep prosecuting our advantage and working. Look, we just have to leave it all. We got to do the work. We got to leave it all on the playing field. And part of leaving it all on the playing field, the reason I'm here is I want to talk about this concept of voting on day one and winning it in October. The backdrop to this discussion is that our elections have changed dramatically in America. When we think of an election, we think of like doing, canvassing the final weekend and people voting on election day. And that kind of thinking is now gone. We're now in this extended early vote period. Our elections have changed dramatically. And we need to be thinking about winning the election in the early vote, not on election day. We want to run up the score as high as we possibly can so that when election day comes, they can't catch up. If you think of it as a sports analogy, you want to go into halftime, up a touchdown or up, 10 points in a basketball game, whatever the analogy is. And so there's this premium now to pushing the vote right now. And the problem the Republicans have is that Kamala Harris is popular. She's far more popular than Trump. We're bringing these positive vibes. They've got all this negative energy at a time when people are starting to really pay attention. So the work we're going to do, my view, is the work we do in the next 20 to 30 days is going to be more important and more impactful than the work we do closer to the election. It's the opposite of the way that we were kind of all trained in how elections work, where there's all this focus at the end. My view is create the momentum now, create a virtuous cycle, run up the score, talk to people when they want to hear from us, and go win this thing. The second thing is when you vote early, and this is something that's universal across the whole country, the campaign gets every night a list of everyone who voted, not how you voted, but that you voted. and then you come off the GOTV rolls. And when you come off the GOTV rolls, a few things happen, right? One is you don't get any calls or mail or any canvassing anymore, right. So you don't get bothered. But the more importantly is the campaign can start to move to lower propensity voters faster. When the campaign can move to lower propensity voters and talk to them, it increases our turnout. We make more Democrats. It's more likely we win. So one of the ways you can help Kamala Harris win is by voting early, voting on day one, and getting everyone you've ever met to join you in doing this. This is a universal new way we have of helping Democrats. The second thing it does is the more people that vote early, first of all, you get to see weeks and weeks and weeks of our democracy working as intended. It is, in essence, a big middle finger to the fascists who want to destroy our democracy, right, and take us down. But it is an affirmation of our democracy, seeing lots and lots of people vote early. Second, and also it makes it, if more of the vote comes in before Election Day, it makes it much harder for Trump to cheat. And that's really important to disrupt Election Day, to do any of the stuff they're going to do.
Bank that vote.
Yeah. And so finally, the other thing it does, and I think this is the other thing we're about to find out, because this is what we saw in the early vote in 2022, is that it creates both a permission structure and social pressure on other people to vote. And just so everybody understands, there are more Democrats in the country, but we have more episodic voters and we have more new voters than Republicans have. So any kind of system that puts pressure on people voting benefits us. And right. So the other thing is this kind of joyful activity that you're undertaking, the celebration of the vote, of the franchise, this inalienable American right, we hope, right, is also a way of putting pressure on the lower propensity voters to vote, because they're like, hey, everybody else is voting, I got to go vote too, right? And so, which is the basis of what canvassing's about, right? Is that you're shaking people out of their slumber into becoming voters. Well, now we have 6 weeks of early voting to shake everybody up every single day and put pressure on them. That's why this early vote new system we have of voting is very beneficial to us.
Yes.
And we have unprecedented tools to drive our vote, win our elections. And because of this is one of the reasons why we've continued to overperform in elections, because the way the election system is now designed is very beneficial to our kind of politics, this grassroots-driven politics for a party that has more episodic voters. We have unprecedented tools now because of all of you and all the work that you do to drive up the early vote.
Yes.
and win the election in October. So, Katherine, it's been one of the reasons I want to come today is I would love you to spend a few minutes, if you don't mind, because of the Hopium people that are going to be seeing this recorded and who are, and Absolutely. I want to say hello to the Hopium folks who are here today, because I invited people to come hang out with all of us. Tell us a little bit about your strategy of what you're doing this week, today and this weekend.
No doubt. And Robin is going to get us queued up. And so while we're sitting on this page, I want to say a few things. First of all, thank you. We know if you vote early, one thing great about it too is we had a lot of issues with our ballot. So we have time to fix it, and allows that curing the ballot. So everybody listening, we do know really importantly that every state is different, right? And everybody has different rules around it. So when you look at our materials here, just make sure you tweak it for what fits you. Okay. On the right-hand side, early voting start dates on this particular landing page, we have went and did every state. You can click on it to find out when voting starts. And this gives us the ability to as activists, to see what's happening across the country as we work together. So that's really cool about this landing page. And our strategy, we've been having early voting because Democrats won the trifecta. We changed the laws that we can now vote 45 days early and in person. Some states, it's just more like through a ballot, but dudes, we can go to the ballot box, show our ID and vote, which is really cool. So to call attention to to this, we did a lot of voter education back when COVID, we did caravans. We want to make it visible to people, because for people in the room that do this work, early vote allows you to have strong conversations around voting. And to me, that's the most important thing, to infuse it in all the work you do, but to have the conversation at the door allows you to enter into a conversation that educates and empowers that individual. And then you get into maybe the issues, but really this is a great way to converse. So we try to hit it on all the different avenues, right? This is our map. So we do events. So we have this really great map. You can make one too, or do it in a different way. But this way people can actually see it. It's so much fun to see the map. And on the right-hand side, we talk about why, but this is a really great tool. And then, as you scroll down, you can see all the events going on across Virginia today. But if you go back to the page, we also have made social media graphics, and you can post on social media. So, you could add your own in here. You can send it to us, but this is just a sampling of what we're doing. So important for people to see what you're doing. And today, when you actually are voting, to show people voting. These are vote day one postcards. The campaign is over. So when we're planning this next year, these are things you plan in advance when we strategize. How are we moving this? Postcarding is a great way to reach voters. Tell them vote day one and why. So those are awesome. And then we also have some videos. Oh, there's our yards. Oh, yard signs are the best. I have mine outside. Again, signaling your neighbors, putting up this stuff everywhere. And believe it or not, a lot of people still don't know they can vote early. It's amazing. And lastly, I think, do we have any videos? I think that's pretty much some of our stuff. Oh, how we love videos, and you can find all our videos here. And this is, again, how we share across the media, from Twitter to TikTok, and again, uplift each other. And today, and through this whole early voting thing, I encourage everybody, even if you don't have early voting yet, to share it across your social networks. So thank you. This is our website, Simon. We have built this now for 4 years. And let me tell you, when I gave you my little point of view of this is just the start. I think we are pushing our own party in this way. So many years ago, they weren't really concerned about this. And we started to say, this is really important, because it's voter education. And, we're educating voters to be democracy warriors. And we building that kind of concept that you are, that we want to educate around it. So it's so important. And that's pretty much how we started. And we hope to continue this and really build it out across the country where it's applicable and so forth. So that's the show. Through T-shirts, through any way we get it out there, so this is great. And Fennell's going to pop in to say hi. Fennell, and then we'll bid a roll because.
Yeah, I know you got a busy show.
I know.
Hello,
Hi, Simon. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you too. I just want you to know that I never miss you. Whenever they say that Simon's going to be on this show or that show, I am there.
Well, listen, I am so proud of all of you. I mean, my favorite moment in this whole discussion around the early vote was when Taylor Swift, in her first message, not only said vote, register, she said vote early, right? She pushed vote early. And what we're doing with this video today and this communications, this is going to spread all over the country, and you're lighting a fire that's going to lead us to victory.
Fired up.
So thank you for being the leaders, the pioneers, having our proud patriots, as we always say, who are working out of love of country and love of one another, right? We're going to kick their ass. And, you've kicked us off in a great way today. It's great to be here celebrating with all of you. Thank you so much. And just, I'll come back in a few weeks and do a check-in. How's that?
Yes, we'll do a check-in. And you enjoy yourself this weekend and have some September dancing.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. See ya.
Bye-bye, Simon. And you've been listening to Simon Rosenberg, political strategist and author of the Hopium Chronicles. And now delightful Fennell Norton is going to take us on the next segment with our next guest. I'll let you have the floor. Thank you, Fennell.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I have to tell you, I am so excited that I'm going to be talking to Skye Perryman. She is the president and CEO of Democracy Forward. Skye, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So this is so exciting because I know that so many people feel a little antsy about all the things that are happening, but I think that your story is pretty phenomenal. First, I want you to tell us a little bit about how you got here, because I see Democracy Forward as the saviors for all the little people, and I'm a little person.
Well, you're so kind. Democracy Forward was founded in the wake of the 2016 election, when in the first days of 2017, after inauguration, we started seeing at the federal level just a new really a new era of attacks on democracy. We all know that there has always been a movement in this country to take the country back, to not really achieve true democracy. That work has been going on since this country started, and the attacks on democracy are not new. But the level and severity of the attacks that we started seeing with the former administration were really concerning, and were of a different volume and a different extremity. And so Democracy Forward was founded with a team of lawyers who left, people like me who left their corporate litigation practices, others who left senior positions in government, others that had been working in nonprofits, all came together and built a strong team that took the Trump administration to court more than 100 times. We stopped a range of really unlawful policies, whether that were things like, reversing child nutritional standards for free school lunches that more than 30 million children in our country utilize, to stopping the abrupt discontinuation of teen pregnancy prevention funding in cities and counties across the country, to having to shut down the Pence Kobach Voter Commission, which was a voter suppression commission made to intimidate voters after the 2016 election, when the former president was upset that he lost the popular vote and did not want people to believe he lost the popular vote. So we worked across a range of issues. And since that time, we have expanded our team after January 6th. When it was clear that the threats to democracy were not leaving when the former president left office, but that had become more prevalent in communities across the country and are really on the front lines of this fight.
Yeah, you know what I find so interesting about the work that you all do. Well, first of all, that all of these people in these high-powered jobs took a look at it and said no more. And if anyone would just take a look at the website and see all of the people on the team, and just the skill, the innovation is incredible. And it's also issues that we just don't even think about sometimes because they're not in our preview. How do you guys find these things that you're going to take on?
Well, we listen to people. And there's a number of things that don't always make the headlines that affect the lives of millions of people in their everyday lives. And so people in communities know, they're starting to know that we exist and that we're here to help them. And so we do a lot of listening to people in communities across the country. We also know that many of these extreme tactics are not organic. They're not just sprouting up across the country by happenstance, but they are the result of a concerted and well-funded and well-coordinated effort from a small group of extremists who are seeking to wield more political power and more power than they really have, because they don't represent the majority. And so our team does a lot of work tracking the work that far-right organizations are doing, seeking to undermine our democracy, so that we can be sure that that there is an advocate for people and communities and democracy there to meet them. And so that's one of the ways we understand and are able to identify our work as well.
And not only that, you do it for free.
We represent all of our clients free of charge as a result of the generosity of people who donate to our organization and our operations. And so we believe that democracy needs a good lawyer, and that people and communities need a good lawyer, and that it should not just go to the highest bidder, whoever, these issues are way more important than that. So we represent all of our clients free of charge.
And one of the other things that you have taken a real interest in is Project 2025. So I want you to talk a little bit about that, and then I'll make sure that everybody understands. I'm a person who makes copies, so I have the booklet that you guys put forth.
Right, yeah, just put it in the chat, but you can get it online, and if you want a paper copy, you can reach out, but you can get it online. Well, our work in tracking and understanding what happened in the prior administration, but also being on the front lines in communities across the country, we actually started tracking 2 years ago these types of threats and what we could see at the federal level if the landscape regressed again. And then they did our work for us, because they published a 922-page document called Project 2025 that had many of these threats that are so extreme that often are hard for people to even believe are credible threats because they're so extreme, they wrote them down and they put it out there. And so we have been doing a lot of work, not only to counter Project 2025, which, by the way, is in it's in communities and courts as we speak. There are plans in Project 2025 to ban books, to privatize public education, to reverse progress on reverse healthcare progress, to continue to restrict reproductive healthcare access, and all of that's happening in communities across the country where we are working to push back. And then, of course, there's a greater threat it could happen at the federal level. And so, so we really, in addition to combating this, we wanted to make sure the American people understood. And so we developed the People's Guide to Project 2025, and there's some resources here to really break it down. Yesterday, I was at the U.S. Congress. I was the only witness. The House Republicans called a hearing, and I was the only witness. I was invited by the ranking member, Jamie Raskin, but I was the only witness on the dais that was not an author or architect of Project 2025. And I was able to use the time yesterday to really make sure that people are educated about how harmful it is.
Yeah, one of the things when I think about Project 2025 is I can't imagine that we wouldn't have, when we talk about, polling and all that stuff, I can't imagine why it wouldn't be just like 30% people voting on the Republican side, because it's so horrible. What feedback or what guidance do you have for us as grassroots people trying to be sure that people are well informed about the dangers of Project 2025?
Well, I think a few things. One is to, when extremists show you who they are, believe them and tell your friends. And you can make it real because it's actually happening. So when people say, well, that would never happen, or I thought that, this is happening now in our communities, many of the communities that are on this Zoom call today. So one is, I think, really grounding this in what we're already seeing, what people are already experiencing, and then being able to talk to people. Two, I think we just have to be and have the courage to look at the moment that we are in this country and not blink. We can have hope for the future, but at the same time, take this moment incredibly seriously. In 2021, after January 6th, the United States was added to a list of global backsliding democracies. And it has remained on that list ever since. Last year, 13 presidential libraries, including libraries like President Hoover's, President Bush's, President Obama's, all warned of the fragile state of our democracy. And that is before this election, and that is before whoever wins this election. That's where we are today. And we need to be talking in our communities about this and be armed with the facts. And so we try to make sure that you all and the grassroots communities have the facts. And we think the People's Guide can really help you because it shows you where you can say, look, these groups, they want to do this. And if you go to their own website, if you go to the Heritage Foundation's own website, they brag about the fact that more than 60% of the policies that they propose get made into law in the prior administration and even in administrations prior to that. And so we just need to, we need to tell the truth. And I think that that's why I so admire the work you do on these sessions to really help people be able to do that.
Well, I really appreciate it. I'm talking to Skye Perryman. She's the president and CEO of Democracy Forward. I know we've put all the information in the chat. I would encourage everyone to go. You don't have to be a paper nut like me, but you can also order it. But the information is phenomenal, and it is something we have to continue to talk about. And it also feels good to know that there is someone out there looking out for us. So thank you so much, Skye.
Thank you.
So, Katherine,
Yes.
It's nice to know that we're already doing a lot of the right things that Skye has mentioned that we should be doing, which is talking about it and making sure that we're giving examples and showing people that it's already happening. And so we'll just keep at that.
Yeah. And I think that's so the showing part and the doing part is so important. I was looking at people's emotional responses after voting, people, especially worries for justice and reproductive rights. And we're voting for the first time, or the second time we are going to vote for maybe the historic President of the United States. And that really hits you when you just really go think about today when you're voting and filling in that name of VP Harris, what that will mean to the country. So that is exciting. But I want to make sure we talk about what we've been really talking about, the do something challenges that have been exciting. So why don't you fill everybody in?
Sure. So we love these do something challenges. And so we're on challenge 4 right now. And so I'd probably give a prize to anybody who can remember challenge 1, 2, and 3. So
Maybe go ahead. Anybody remember challenge 1? You get a button. We get some buttons sent.
So I don't know if we can see it in the chat, but so challenge 1, 2, 3. But I'm going to tell you quickly what they were. Challenge 1 was really very, very easy. All you had to do was pick a partner. So pick someone who was going to be a partner. Fantastic. Challenge 2. Does anybody remember challenge 2? Oh, I've forgotten challenge 2. Challenge 2. Challenge 2. Oh my God.
Do something with your friend.
Challenge 3. Well, challenge 2 and 3 were the sticky notes. You had to go do the sticky notes, and you had to also just talk to someone about why you were going to vote for Kamala Harris. So those were those challenges. And challenge 4 today is to get even louder than before. We're going to amplify. So I am encouraging everyone for challenge 4 to amplify. Go to your Facebook, go to your Twitter, go to whatever you use, your text message, and tell people why they should be voting early, that they should be voting early right now. And so I want you to amplify those voices, and I want you to amplify Democratic messages, period. And I wanted to just say that we're going to put information in on Reach, which is a wonderful tool that you can use. And perhaps we'll have a call that will give you more details on that. But it is a fantastic tool that you can use to make your messaging be so professional. But in the meantime, use whatever resources that you have, amplify the messages on voting now, voting early, voting day 1 with Vote Early.
Good, you're getting loud. I love it. Well, I'm going to say an easy challenge I gave myself yesterday. I was kind of possessed to try to get out the early vote in front of the vote. And I just sat down with my phone for like literally 15 minutes maybe. And I had a graphic. I pulled a graphic from one of our resources Dennis made. And I just started giving that to everybody in my contact list. I'm like, hey, you can vote early. Join me tomorrow at the polls, because we're going to have a party at the polls today at 4:00 at the Fairfax Government Center in Virginia for a round. And then we're going to go to happy hour, 4:00, Government Center. Join me. Yay. But I sat there, you know what? It was so much easier too. Sometimes you go and it's just your own self, you personally talking to all your friends. And hundreds of people I reached yesterday, myself.
See, there you go. That was a really good do something. Because remember, we are the ones that people listen to. So that's why your voices and making them big and loud and amplifying them through however you can matters.
Yeah, even in my workout class today, everybody, I told them about it. And still, again, everybody in the room, believe it or not, people really don't know, but once they know, they're very excited. So, and it is important. Then you could just decide who's your friend and not. It's like, I don't know, you're not voting for the Democrats.
Joy, Katherine.
Joy. Oh, sorry. No, I was going to get, yeah. Anyway, so great. So let's get to talking about joy. I'm going to say that on Tuesday night, Sarah and I drove down to Washington, D.C. to go to an awesome event with Vote for Your Daughter. And here today, we have the team for Vote for Your Daughter is here. We have Meredith. So Meredith Wells and Sally. And Sally's here, Sally McBratney for Vote for Your Daughter. And these women are awesome. We came in to see... First of all, let me just say how much fun it was that the part of the Legacy DC where the event was is also a marijuana dispensary, and you can get 25% of marijuana that day. And I didn't abide, but I was like, oh, marijuana, yeah, fun. Anyways, so you have I just want to say hi and so excited to have you guys on because we talk about the joy, Meredith and Sally, and you're bringing it.
Well, we're excited to be here. And Katherine, you bring so much joy and energy that it's infectious. So, we're happy to add to that, but you've got plenty.
So I want to make sure that, Meredith, we're going to show a clip of the founder, MAGGIE O'NEILL.
Hi, everyone. I'm MAGGIE O'NEILL. I'm the founder of Vote for Your Daughter. I'm in Los Angeles, so I'm very sorry I cannot be there today on this call. I am out here with the campaign, and the Vote for Your Daughter campaign is really born out of art as activism. We are trying to take this campaign across the country to talk to people about what's going on for women and girls' rights. Our 4 pillars are education, representation, equal pay, and healthcare. We'd love for you to get involved. And actually, next week, on Wednesday the 25th, it's National Daughters Day. There's many ways you can actually be activated, and on our website we have wheat pasting kits and we have activism kits, so please go visit the website. We know that art is the great form of diplomacy that's left in this country, and I'd love for you to ask any questions to my 2 colleagues who are here with you, Meredith and Sally, and I'm so grateful to be part of this community. So get out there and vote, Virginia, and thanks for having us on.
That is so amazing. So let's just get right to it. Who wants to talk first about what you're doing around this campaign? Let's go.
I can talk first immediately about what we're doing on a grassroots level. And Meredith will speak to what we're doing on more of a national level with working with professional artists from around the world or around the country. But we have got activism toolkits on our website to get everybody at home involved. Art is, as Maggie said, one of the last great forms of diplomacy that we have left, but it's also very accessible. And so we have a wheat paste toolkit up right now. If anyone's feeling a little bit, I don't know, it's completely legal depending on where you do it. But that has instructions on how you can wheat paste. It has downloadable posters for you to get out there and get these messages of prioritizing your daughter's futures when you vote out into the public. And then Maggie mentioned that we're having a virtual event next week on Wednesday for National Daughters Day. So you can join us from 6 to 8 Eastern. I think the link will be dropped in there. But we will be doing 2 hours of speakers, encouraging families to create at home. We will be coming out with new coloring pages and templates for young people to write to their representatives because we need to vote for them because they can't vote. So really excited about that. So look out for more coming on our website on Wednesday. And then we are also planning pumpkin carving and pumpkin carving templates that folks can print out at home to get your vote message on your pumpkins.
So I'm going to just chime in real quick because when I found Vote for Your Daughter, I was just thought this is the way to talk about this election because it just, it's a message that resonates across the board, no matter what your political identification is. But it's a great way to ease into it, putting a yard sign out, showing it on the shirts like we've been wearing. And it was so much fun to come down because you had us do the art project with all the paint, the stencils. We brought our jean jackets and we were all having so much fun making all this stuff that we can wear. But it was really that art process that I enjoyed so much. And I challenge everybody in this room. This is a great thing to do with your community. Have everybody come over and make bracelets, use this stuff that you can download, a coloring party, and talk about voting and what's at stake. But having the fun was so important. And Meredith, real quick too, I saw on the chat, people weren't sure. It's wheat pasting, not weed pasting. Wheat. No, I'm teasing. What? Weed.
Yes.
Pasting. We're doing some weed pasting. So explain to people what wheat pasting is, Meredith.
I'm happy to explain it.
Sally, go ahead.
Wheat pasting is an old. It's also called wild posting. It's been used to spread political messages and propaganda. It's also been used to put up every concert poster of your favorite band. So you take water and flour and mix them together, which is why it's called wheat pasting. And it creates this paste that allows you to essentially, it's like paper mache, but flat onto any surface. So it's a great way to get posters up. It also is pretty resistant to rain. So they'll stay up there for a while.
I think too, coloring on those, I think the coloring book ideas to have young girls have family parties, this is so approachable. So Meredith, when you're talking about the other layer of this project, which I kind of found you on, the Fearless Girls, go back to the Fearless Girls, what happened with Maggie after Roe was overturned. Let's start there and then talk about that national project.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with Maggie, she's a DC-based artist. Her body of work has always been bars, restaurants, and hotels. But on the painting side, if you go back and look, she's always been really attracted to really strong women. And I mean, from the Golden Girls to the queens that she's painted to the entrepreneurship, she's kind of had this like strong woman presence. She, as you guys know, many of you have seen the Fearless Girl who looks down at the bowl, in Manhattan, and was really inspired by that Fearless Girl, just this little girl staring at the face of power. And so she started painting them and really just couldn't stop. And from there, it kind of became this roller coaster ride. And she, after the overturning of Roe vs. Wade, she thought, how can I, as an artist, go and make a difference? And this was also after she had just done an event with a bunch of artists from third world countries like Syria and all these places. And these artists were being, persecuted for speaking truth to power, for, creating art that was against their governments. And she had this moment where she went, wow, I'm free. And as an artist, I'm allowed to create art. What can I do to do this? So that's kind of what got this started. So she started with these Fearless Girls, and she made them what we've now called sketchbook girls, but these Fearless Girls. And so she said, would one of these little girls make a difference? What if I did 51 of them to represent all the little girls across the country and put them in front of the Capitol? What if I then took them down and put them in front of the Capitol in Georgia? And so in front of the Supreme Court. So that's what she was doing. And what we found out was that, they really do make such an impression. And then we started realizing this is a way you can talk to people. 2 years ago, and we still are obviously a very divided country when it comes to politics. So with Vote for Your Daughter, we're really trying to use this to bring people together. We're nonpartisan. We have Vote for Your Daughter, which is our 527, as we sang, with the wheat pasting and all of our grassroots efforts. But then our Daughter's Future Fund, which is a 501c3, and that's what's funding the art. So the Fearless Girls Take One are finished. And then now what we've done, we actually have statues. They're 3D statues. They are on a big stand with lights. They have different poses, and artists from all over the country are actually helping us create these 3D statues. Right now, Maggie was actually in LA because 2 of them are being painted out in California right now. There's a couple that are going right now in DC. We've got some going up to Pennsylvania next week, so that artists can be painting them. And the idea is after the election, all 51 will be together, and we'll go travel the country to encourage people to vote for their daughters based on these 4 pillars.
I love it. And does Virginia have a start right now? And Fennell, come on and pop in, Fennell, and then we'll wrap up. Does Virginia have a girl yet, or an artist sponsors? Because we should help with that.
We do have an artist. We have a couple. We're slowly rolling out just because it's so, of course, it all came in right. But we are going to take the Fearless Girls, the Sketchbook Girls, to swing states in October, and just kind of make us, stand where we can be. And then we're also working with some colleges to do a lot of education. Right. And we're going to be having QR codes and information about, how each state differs in our 4 pillars, which are education, equal pay, representation, and healthcare.
It's awesome. Fennell, what are your comments?
Yeah, I was just thinking about this, and it's sort of so exciting. And I think the moment, though sad, when we think about the 2 women that we've just had highlighted, when you think about them and that they are daughters, and then it just sort of makes it really real and emotional, so that it's the perfect moment to talk to people about how important it is to vote for your daughter. And I was so excited when I met you guys, because Katherine and I, we were all talking and chatting, because I made these little nuggets before I met you, because I was actually at the polls. I was voting, saw this man get out of his pickup truck. He went to the other side, opened the door, takes out this little girl. He picks her up, and they're going in to vote.
Yes.
And but the problem was I couldn't decide how he was going to vote. And immediately at that point, I thought, is he going to vote for her rights? or is he going to vote to take them away? And
Mhm.
so I think that's the perfect question to sort of ask people when you think about these fearless girls is who are you voting for your daughter? How are you going to do it? Are you voting for them, or are you voting, to really, really alter their lives?
And
Oh, yeah.
art makes it less scary to have these conversations, right?
Yeah,
It's what we realize it's so hard. You've sat there, I'm sure all of us being women, and you've sat, next to a girlfriend who might not agree, and you're kind of like, how you have these like weird conversations because our rights have been so politicized. But you having art really is a way to relax. It gets people together, and you can start having these conversations, and they shouldn't be so hard, And so that's what we're really trying to do. Trying to encourage, like I said, there's so much joy in this election again. At the beginning, this was when people were just feeling very like, oh, I don't want to vote. I hate I hate
Right.
our options. And we were like, well, go vote for your daughter. If for
that's right.
anything, go
Any
vote for your
reason.
daughter. Like, don't you like, I know you, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, you care about your daughter. And, just making sure people are thinking and really understand the issues that are facing all of our daughters today.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're so thrilled you're here today. And I hope if one of you could stay in the after chat, because I really do want people to get the idea of how they can do this party at home. So thank you, Meredith, and thank you, Sally, for being here. Because folks, we are fired up and ready to vote early in September. This show has been all about September. I just want to first, before we just wrap up, thank Simon Rosenberg, founder and writer of the Substack. And also, it was so great to hear from Skye Perryman, Democracy Forward, the president and CEO. Oh my gosh, that was just those
Yeah.
protecting the votes is so important. And lastly, the MAGGIE O'NEILL team, and Vote for Your Daughter with Meredith Wells and Sally Bratley. I always want to say her last name incorrectly, but I also have to say the joy that we had doing that Vote for Your Daughter art. I did my jean jacket and my stuff, and I just wanted to start like stenciling all my clothes. I had to stop. Stenciled my car. I'm teasing. She made some cool stuff. I just have to say that was awesome. And I didn't buy any weed, just so if anybody knows.
Well, that's really good. I'm sorry you didn't bring your jacket for folks to see because it's really a great
No, I
jacket.
was thinking about I may have to run for the after chat and get
Yeah.
it. It's in the closet. So yeah, I was just going, I can't leave the screen and run and get it. But yeah, so it's almost time. So what are your thoughts on our wrap up on this September theme today?
Well, the first thing is I'm always going to sort of think about the joy and that everybody has to hold on to it. And what I really love is with all of the parties, it's like IRL in real life, that everybody will be together to celebrate voting on day one or in voting early. So I love that. And I also just love the notion about all the work that Skye is doing. I'm so inspired by her. I'm so inspired by the work. As worried as I've been, I feel so much better knowing that Democracy Forward is out there looking out for us. So that's what makes me happy today.
No, it's so true. We had the Elias group on with Elizabeth Frost a few weeks ago. And we know that we do have, just so everybody knows, everybody's in their lane doing their thing. People are protecting our vote. We know that the vote's so important because people are trying to steal it. So that's there. So we can just do our work, make sure we don't get caught up in the negativity. They want to pull you down. We know it. We see it. Don't let it happen. Because I'm going to leave you with the thought what the vice president said the other day when she met with the Black Journalists Association, when they said, when people make fun of your laughter, they make fun of, they've been using it to weaponize against you. And she just looked at him and she said, I'm going to say what I always tell people, young people, especially when I talk to them. Don't let anybody make your strength a weakness. Don't let anybody make your strength a weakness. And I was like, spot on. Don't let anybody do that to you. That's a bully.
It is a bully. And then I'll just say this as we wrap up.
You had to say something. Go ahead.
I got something to say. So what I was going to say is that the Friday Power Lunch has been doing this from the beginning. It's always been about the joy. And I just never, ever want you and Stair and Robin to forget about that. From the very beginning, it's always been about joy, finding the joy in this work.
And if everybody wants to hear our little our dog and pony show, we will be on the Markers for Democracy program 24 and 24. And we can put that in the chat. Sign up. It's a 24-hour awesome event starting September 23rd next week for 24 hours. Tim Miller will be on there from the Bulwark. We have Cory Booker, Nancy Pelosi, you on it, and then us two. Us two funny guys are going to be on that. So tune in and bring your postcards and you don't have to stay the whole time. You just plug in and out. So Susan Wagner's here. We'll talk about that in the after chat next week. Oh my gosh, Friday, how you can help in volunteering in other swing states. We have guests here, leaders here from Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. We're bringing national leaders in, and we're going to talk about how we can help in swing states. So hold on to your pants. Support the show if you can. We hope we've earned some Patreons today, folks. You got $5 a month. That's all it is to give us that boost. Thank you for that. And also follow us on YouTube, and you'll get the recap email. You won't miss a thing. Stay for the after chat, and make sure everybody on their Spotify and Apple land, thank you for listening in. And you can watch us if you want to see what we look like on YouTube. So let's go to the credits, and we'll see you on the other side.